You tune into the SportsCast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the SportsCast. Tune into the SportsCast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's the OutSpoken SportsCast here. Your host, Brian, riding solo this Tuesday. We have the recap of Week 3 for you. Monday Night Football just ended last night. Give you a recap of last week's games. We've had some interesting games. We've had some interesting finishes definitely this week. I was 11-5 last week, so another good week for me. I went 8-8, 11-5, and 11-5. So keep up those 11-5s. I'll look good at the end. So I also won my NFL Survivor game as well. I moved on to the next round, so that's good as well. So last week, let's get started with the Thursday night football game. It was the Panthers versus the Texans, and I took the Panthers in. I took the Panthers to win this game, and I took them in my Survivor League. So I'm glad I did because they remain undefeated as they beat the Texans, who have all sorts of injuries, and they beat them 24-9. The big takeaway from this game, though, is McCaffrey is out again. He left in the second half of this game. He's a very good running back, but he's not dependable. If you can't be relied on to play a full season, then it's tough because he's really good. But I would not take him in fantasy leagues because he's so injury prone. He's going to miss games. If you do, or if you did this year, I know fantasy's already been drafted and all that stuff's already started, obviously. But I'm saying future references, this guy's always hurt. And if he's not out there on the field, then you're just wasting a spot. So, but they do remain undefeated as they come to Dallas and play the Dallas Cowboys next week. The next game was an interesting one. Justin Tucker saves Baltimore by hitting a game-winning and record-breaking 66-yard field goal. They beat the Lions 19-16. He let the Baltimore off the hook because Baltimore have played a bad game. The Lions played hard and they fought hard and tough. This was in Detroit, and they thought they had the game. Lamar was trying to drive down to give his team the opportunity to win the game, and Lamar converted a 4th and 19. And then later on in that same drive, the refs missed a delay of game. The clock at 0, and there was 2 more seconds that would have ticked off that clock. Then they snapped the ball. They missed the delay of game that would have put them out of field goal range. 66 yards was pretty much out of field goal range. Just would have knocked them out completely. So everything on that drive set him up to win the game. Justin Tucker's kick, it was 66 yards on the money. It hit the middle post and bounced in. It could have bounced out. It bounced in, and the Baltimore escapes Detroit with a 3-point victory. And just a gut punch there in Detroit, looking for his first win as a head coach, Dan Campbell. And that happens to you. So they have some bad luck, definitely. But hey, they fought them pretty hard and tough. So you got to give them that. Next game, the Bills stampede the football team 43-21. Allen, I've been criticizing him the last 2 games. He's responds to his critics with 4 touchdowns, 358 yards. Football team, the Washington football team, the defense does not look as impressive as it did last year. And I've talked about this before about how defense doesn't transfer over year to year. It's just not. It doesn't stay as good as it was last year, and it could go down a little bit. It could get better. But when you have a dominant defense, usually you'll take a step back the next season, and because people figure out where ways to work against you, or personnel turnover, or maybe head coach, whatever. But defense is not looking that spectacular this season like it did last, so that's going to be a big roadblock for them if they can't get that going. The Cardinals take care of the Jaguars 31-19. The Cardinals didn't play too well in the first half. The Jaguars got they call them a kick six, so they tried a long field goal. It was short. The returner grabbed the ball and ran it all the way back for a touchdown, 109 yards right before halftime. Cardinals came in the second half and took care of business. Trevor Lawrence continues to struggle with 2 more interceptions, so not a great start for him. He's looked pretty bad, and as far as we put those expectations on him and those the comp of Peyton Manning, and everyone expects him to be great, but it's not going to happen right away. But he's looking pretty bad right now. I didn't think he'd come and look this bad. Next game is the Titans and Colts. The Titans won 25-16. Wentz did play again. He had the broken foot. He was going to miss 5 to 12 weeks. He played right away. He sprained both ankles last week. He played right away. I don't know how much this guy has got left as far as getting hurt and then playing right away. Maybe he's afraid that if he takes that time off he needs to rest his injuries, then he'll lose his job like he did in Philly. I don't know, but right now Wentz is not playing very well either. So he has to either take some rest for himself, or things aren't going to work out there in Indy if he's just not a good quarterback anymore. The Saints defense, let's talk about them. They suffocate Mac and Cheese over there in New England as he throws 3 interceptions. Mac Jones threw 3 interceptions. The Saints win 20-13. Winston had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's big for him, and 128 yards. He didn't throw the ball over the field. This defense helped out a lot, and then he didn't have any interceptions. So when you get a game like that from him with no interceptions, then that's the bonus. I saw a play where he just heaved it up. He was falling down on the ground, heaved it up, and it could have been an interception, but it ended up being a touchdown. It could have gone either way. So just one of those, it looked like a Jameis Winston play, but it turned out for the better. The Bears, Justin Fields. Whoo, man, he gets killed. He got killed against the Browns. He got sacked 9 times. He was 6 of 20, only completing 6 passes for 68 yards. He lost 67 yards on those sacks, netting a 1 yard in the passing attack for Chicago. They had more sacks than he had completions. The Browns win 26-6. And, pitting Fields up against a tough defense is the first start of the week, or first start in the NFL is pretty bad, right? And Andy Dalton was hurt, but they had Nick Foles there they could have started if Justin Fields wasn't ready. And clearly he wasn't. Matt Nagy has already had rumors to be being fired if he doesn't beat the Lions next week. Things are falling off the hinges. And I talked a little bit about this last week about how Chicago has a spotlight on their quarterback situation that you don't want. It's a tough situation for the coach. It's a tough situation for the organization. It's a tough situation for Andy Dalton, for Justin Fields. Nagy did not get Fields ready to play. He failed him. I didn't watch the game too much, but I heard his game planning for this to make Fields successful. It was not there. He didn't do it. So I don't know what's going on in Chicago, but Nagy is rumored to be fired sooner than later, and this is exactly an organization's way to get out of a head coach that hasn't been successful there. So, because either way, the organization can tell them, hey, you better start Fields. You better start Fields. And if Fields doesn't work, they can fire the head coach and blame the head coach at the end of the season. So it's a tough situation there in Chicago. The Chargers took on the Chiefs. Herbert and the Chargers outdueled Mahomes and the Chiefs 30-24. Mahomes throws 2 more interceptions. The Chargers defense looked really good against them, and Herbert had 4 touchdowns. Now, when you go watch the Chiefs, they're going to score points usually, and Patrick Mahomes are going to have those crazy deep passes, and I think defenses have finally learned that you got to shut down the deep pass and make him work himself down the field little by little. And if you can control that in some way, and there's a lot of plays or a lot of balls that Patrick Mahomes does throw up that you're like, oh, that's going to be intercepted, and somehow it works out. Somehow it's caught, Travis Kelce in the end zone for a touchdown. You're like, how in the world did that just happen? And some of those are luck. Luck comes into every game. Luck comes into the way the ball bounces, the way the coin flips, right? The way the wind blows. But I think Mahomes, not that he's gotten lucky a lot, but there's a lot of throws where you're like, oh, how is he going to make that? And then it happens miraculously, and you're like, wow, this kid's talented, and he is. I think some of that luck's run out, though. He's making those throws. He threw a bad pick as they were trying to drive down and win the game. So Mahomes and they're struggling right now. The defense hasn't looked too good for the Chiefs. So that's something they need to look into as well. I don't know what they can do for it. Josh Gordon has been noticed he's going to be able to be back into the NFL, and he's already rumored to be signing with the Chiefs whenever that happens. So they're going to get another weapon there as long as he can stay off drugs or marijuana or whatever. But the Chiefs are actually last in their division right now at 1-2. It's not time to hit the panic button. They're Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, all the weapons they have, and Andy Reid. So I think they'll be okay. And as far as Andy Reid goes, I don't know really what the medical diagnosis or whatever's been going on with Andy Reid, but he actually left that game at the end of it. After the game, he went to the hospital in an ambulance because he wasn't feeling well and said he was feeling really sick. So I haven't heard an update on him yet, but prayers for him and hope that he makes a quick recovery. The Falcons spoil Eli's number retirement as they beat the Giants 17-14. They scored 10 of those points in the fourth quarter to get the win in New York on Eli's number retirement day. The Giants are complete garbage. The Falcons are complete garbage. This was a game that you're not going to watch for any entertaining reasons. But I just think it's funny that Eli's number retirement got kind of spoiled, and the owner was up there throwing trash cans after the game and pretty upset. They said so. This is a bad organization. This head coach, Judge Joe, is a joke. And the Giants are abysmal. And so are the Falcons. The Bengals. The Bengals go into hostile territory into Pittsburgh and shut down the Steelers 24-10. Burrow tossed 3 touchdowns. I predicted the Bengals to do this, and they did it. I'm not a big believer in the Steelers' offense. They look lethargic at times. Big Ben is a standing post back there. He's a tree. He doesn't move at all. There's a play where he snapped the ball in shotgun. He took 2 steps to the right and did a little toss to his running back and fell over. No one around him. He just fell over. That's how immobile Big Ben is. The Steelers' offense has problems. Their defense is good. Their offense has huge issues. This will be Big Ben's last year. I'm surprised they brought him back this season, and it's kind of showing off that Big Ben can't get the job done anymore. So the Bengals take care of business there. Joe Burrow has another good day. The Dolphins without Tua. Tua's out, and he'll be out for a little while. Takes the Raiders to overtime, but they end up losing 31-28. This is one of those wild, crazy games. Went back and forth. The Miami Dolphins were up for a while. They let the Raiders come back. They went to overtime. They answered. The Raiders scored. Then the Raiders score, or the Dolphins scored, and went back and forth. Well, the Raiders won 31-28. They stay undefeated. This is not a good look for the Miami Dolphins. Your backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett comes in. He's played. He's a decent backup. He's not a starter in the NFL, and he does this game one. He already looked better than Tua out there on the field, and you might say, well, yeah, he's a veteran quarterback. Yeah, but Tua is your starter. Tua is the guy you took with the number 1 draft pick. This is Tua's second year. You've got to see some progression from him. You've got to figure out what he is, and we just haven't seen that, right? So I'm not a big believer in Tua. I don't think he's going to get the job done there. I think they should trade for Deshaun Watson, but that's not a good look. They don't end up winning the game, and at the end of the day, I guess it's all that matters. But Brissett moved this offense a lot better than Tua did, and they might have a better opportunity to win with him in over Tua whenever he gets back. And that's the decision they got to make. I mean, you're not going to keep Brissett in there. You've got to put Tua in there, but that's a situation that they put themselves in. So we'll see going forward what they do at quarterback. The Broncos defense shut out the New York Jets 26-0, and my goodness, it's got to be infuriating to be a New York fan of football and baseball. I guess your baseball team is kind of fighting for the playoffs. I don't know where they're at there, but they should be doing a lot better than they're doing. The Giants are garbage. The Jets are garbage. The Jets get Zach Wilson, who's great at BYU. He had 2 more interceptions. He's not looking good. He had 4 interceptions against Patriots. So they got a new head coach, maybe bringing in some change. They drafted what looks like a good future quarterback, and he might be. I'm not saying he won't, but right now things are off the rails, and they've got to figure a way out to do so, to get the train back on the tracks here. So this brings up the question to me, is this the most overhyped quarterback class coming out in the NFL draft? And I know we've had higher expectations for like Jamarcus Russell, who busted out really quick, but have we seen a class with this type of talent? And Trevor Lawrence, supposed to be the next, comparable to Peyton Manning, Wilson, Fields, they're all struggling, all of them, and it's not just a little bit here, it's not just an interception there, it's 4 interceptions in one game, 3 interceptions over here. Trevor Lawrence can't get over 20 points. These struggles are real for all these teams, and I get that they're on bad teams, and I understand that things are going to turn around eventually for their career, hopefully. Fields is probably and we haven't seen Trey Lance. Trey Lance is probably on the best team, but with Jimmy Garoppolo, we haven't seen him play, and I think Trey Lance, for what I've seen for preseason, looked pretty good. He did play the other night in Green Bay, but he had 1 rushing touchdown, and that was all he did. But Fields is set up for a better football team than Trevor Lawrence and Wilson, but Fields looked completely inept to play the game the other day. Whether that be him or his head coach, there's blame to go all around there. But Zach Wilson throwing interceptions left and right. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if they've come in and just tried to do things that they can't yet in the NFL. But that's a question we need to start considering. I know it's 3 games in. You got to give them some time, and I'm hoping to see these guys turn it around, except Fields. Chicago, I don't care what they do. But I've followed Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson pretty closely in college, and coming out, they look to be great quarterbacks, and I'm sure they will be eventually. But right now, it looks abysmal. So we'll have to see if we see some progression from them at the end of the year, or we come back to this conversation a little bit about have they changed. Hopefully they have, because if you're going into it and Zach's throwing 2 interceptions a game and 3 interceptions a game, and Trevor Lawrence and everybody like that's not going to be very good. So that's a question that's got me going this so far in this season, is this quarterback class and their struggles. So something to think about. Seattle continues to struggle closing games out as they score 0 points in the second half versus the Vikings. They fall 30-17 was the final. The Seattle Seahawks failed last week in Seattle against Tennessee. They had the lead. They let Tennessee come all the way back and beat them. They scored 0 points in this game. This was the game at halftime, and it got away from them. They scored 0 points, and the Vikings looked pretty good in the second half. But there's something wrong with Seattle's offense. I don't know if it's a new coordinator there, if it's the philosophy of Pete Carroll or what it is, but something's going on with Seattle. There's no adjustments, maybe the offensive side of the ball, but something's got to change. And scoring 0 points in a half is insane, and especially the second half when you're supposed to go, come out and go, okay, we've got to do these different things to change, and we know we're down. We've got to score some points, and you can't get that job done. So the Vikings get their first one of the season and their first win so far this year in their stadium as their home opener. The next one was the game of the week, in my opinion, as far as when you look at matchups, and the excitement factor is the Rams versus the Bucks, and the Brady got rocked. Brady got rocked by the explosive Rams offense, 34-24, and that score at the end of the game, only 10 points, doesn't really tell you the whole detail of how dominant the Rams were in this game. Stafford had 343 yards and 4 touchdowns. Brady tossed for 432 yards, but only 1 touchdown. My question away from this is, look, the Rams are the number 1 team in the league, in my opinion. And it's funny because a lot of people didn't think Stafford coming over, we're going to make him that great. A lot of them didn't have them in the top 5 in the beginning of the year. They're number 1 right now. They got a high-powered offense. The defense is pretty good. The defense is at number 1 right now. They haven't been as explosive, but they're pretty dang good, okay? And that's a question I'm looking on the other side of the football with the Bucks. Now, they've had some key injuries in the secondary, but this Bucks defense doesn't look as scary as it did in the playoffs. And now maybe that's the difference, and they turn a switch on in the playoffs, and they play a little bit harder and a bit different. But right now, that defense doesn't look as scary as they were playing in the playoffs last year. So that's something to watch out for. But the Stafford's offense with McVay is seeming to be like one of the best connections in the NFL as the Rams start off 3-0 this season. So watch out for them. I'm not looking forward to playing them. I think we play them this year, but I'm not sure. I just don't want to. Don't want to play them. They'll tear up that defense of the Green Bay Packers. Speaking of the Packers jump up to a 17-0 lead at half. Aaron Rodgers' first half was nearly perfect. 49ers come back, and they come back in the game. The defense of Green Bay is not looking too good. The 49ers go up by 1 point. It is now 28-27 with 37 seconds left. They score the touchdown, kick the extra point, go up by 1. They leave Aaron Rodgers 37 seconds. He's got no timeouts, and Rodgers works his magic. No timeouts. He gets in the field goal range. Mason Crosby comes on, kicks a 51-yard game winner. The Packers go on to win the game 30-28. This was an interesting, very entertaining game, nail-biting to the end, and Rodgers does it again. The Niners must not have learned from the past. Go ask the Dallas Cowboys, as he's done this to them twice, and he's done this before to other teams. You can't leave Rodgers with that much time. And I know that's hard. A lot of people say that. You can't leave him with that much. You can't. But, you can't score here. You got to stop. And, you can't. That's a tough thing to do in the NFL, right? When you're able to score, you score. And I don't really think you think about it in a different kind of way. Maybe if you're just kicking a field goal to win the game, then you kind of drain the clock. But when you have the ability to score, you score because it may not come around again. And it's a tough thing to do in the NFL. 37 seconds, Rodgers gets the job done. And I saw this thing on the other day on ESPN, and then talking about it is, my worry is not the Packers' offense. My worry is their defense. Well, no crap. Okay, Green Bay's defense is always a worrisome subject for Green Bay fans and for this team. That's my question mark. And everyone, I predicted the 49ers to win this game, and I'll gladly take that loss, right? 49ers are a good team. Jimmy Garoppolo is a decent quarterback. He's got some weapons. Kittle should kill our defense. And their defense is tough. And they play hard. They play tough. And I predicted us to lose. We won the game. That's great. And we were up 17-7.5. It should have been 17-3, but we let Trey Lance walk into the end zone there, and there was a pass interference penalty that gave him another set of downs there. So everyone's so we won, yeah, we beat them on the road in San Francisco. They're a tough team. Yeah, but it shouldn't have been that close. It shouldn't have been to the point where we needed Aaron Rodgers to work his magic and a miracle to get the job done at the end. And that's my worry, right? I'm glad we won. We beat the 49ers on the road, tough win. But we should have held that lead. We should have played better on defense in the second half. And Joe Barry is a big question mark for us Packer fans. So something to look out for. I don't think, we will definitely win our division. We'll go far in the playoffs, possibly another NFC Championship game. But I don't see this defense, the way it is constructed now and the way that's being coached and scheme-wise, is a championship defense, and that worries me. So, and you go look back at Rodgers' past, he needs a really, really good defense to win a championship. So, when he's won one, they had a really good defense. Having an okay defense isn't good enough. So that's what worries me is the defense. And so, enough about the Packers. All right, last night's game is the final game of the week. We had the Cowboys dismantling the Eagles 41-21. We all knew the Cowboys were going to win. There was a lot of talk about the Eagles after the destruction of the Falcons in the first week, and they played the 49ers really well last week and lost. So this team's a lot better than we expected, and maybe they are better than we expected because I honestly expected them to finish fourth in their division and be trash. But they're better than that. They're third in their division. More than likely at the end of the year, and because the Giants are pretty horrible, but the Cowboys are the favorites to win this division. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If they don't win their division, I think McCarthy over there needs to be fired. This is a easy cake division. You should sweep your division. That's 6 wins. But I am, I'm not surprised by Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's a great quarterback. I'm surprised with this Cowboys defense. Okay? And I'm going to have to say that again. I'm surprised with this Cowboys defense. This is a defense last year that was historically bad for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's why they had to throw the ball 80 billion times a game, and Dak had 400-something yards a game and had losses because he was playing from behind. But they continue to force turnovers. They lead the league in interceptions. They got 2 last night, I believe. They lead the league in interceptions. And when you can do that, that's very good, right? Obviously. And Dak had 3 touchdowns. Zeke ran for 95 yards and a touchdown. Dak looks like an MVP candidate at this point. Defense leads the league in turnovers. And I was telling Jeff this, the co-host of the show, that the Cowboys on the offense is so good and can score almost at will, just about, that they need an average defense and they'll be okay. They'll be good, right? They'll win their division. They'll go on to the playoffs. And when you add an average defense with leading the league in turnovers, that is huge. Turnovers are huge in the NFL, especially when your offense is as high-powered as Dallas, and they take those turnovers and they put points on the board with them. Dallas is a good football team. This week on this episode, we're going to give you our rankings so far this year of the top 5 teams in the NFL. And we'll see where these teams end up. The Cowboys, Packers, Rams, and Tampa Bay, and all this stuff. The Browns, the Bills, But the Cowboys are a good football team. Their defense may be average, but if that defense is average, can lead the NFL in turnovers, that gives you a good advantage as well. So, but the Cowboys look good. They beat the Eagles. The Eagles aren't expected to be anything this year. The Cowboys showed up. They handled their business, and they won by 20 points. So they did their job. And it was Jimmy Johnson's. He got his ring for the Hall of Fame last night. So they were celebrating that there in Dallas as well. So those are all the games this weekend. Let me know if you watched any. I'm pretty sure you did, especially if you're listening to this podcast show. I try and catch as much as I can. Watch highlights of the games they can't catch. Week 3 coming up. Packers got the Steelers. That ought to be a good game for us. In Lambeau Field, we should win that game. Their offenses look pretty bad, so our defense should be able to take advantage. This offensive line did really, really well. We've had some injuries, but we did really, really well against the 49ers this last week. So hopefully T.J. Watt stays hurt out for this game because he's a beast. So I'm looking forward to watching that game this week. Let me know who you're looking forward to watching to or watching and listening to this week. The NFL's back, baby. Lots and lots of good stuff coming. And how many opportunities is Josh Gordon going to get with this reinstatement? I mean, how many? I know they're not punishing for marijuana anymore. Maybe great for him. Maybe it's a little too late for him. We'll see up over there in Kansas City. But how many chances is he going to get? But anyways. All right, guys, that's my NFL Week 3 recap. Let me know what you think. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook, Twitter, all of the above. You can find us anywhere you can find a podcast episode. So feel free to like us, share us. We are on YouTube as well. I hope you guys finish off your week strong. It's going to be Wednesday tomorrow, and I hope you guys are able to have a good week. In Texas, it's supposed to rain all next week here, so I hope that you're able to stay dry somewhat and enjoy, hopefully, some cooler weather. All right, guys, God bless. Take care.